everybody. We're here today with Shirley Brooks from Save Bills, and we're going to be talking a little bit about her business and kind of really what she does, and then we'll be moving on to the classic kind of 1 to 10 year plans and what kind of hurdles that she's going to have in reaching those goals. This is kind of a VA style business. We'll let Shirley explain a little bit more about her business. So I'm really excited to do this because I've had some experience of that. I've been in this market and then come out of it and so on. So hopefully we can really help Shirley on her journey. So tell me a little bit about your business and kind of what you do and maybe the journey up to this point, Shirley.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been really excited about this. So thank you for having me here. And Save Bills. Okay. So what I do, I'm a personal assistant. So I help people, but not just online. I also do a personal touch to everything I do. So it could be organizing events, workshops, anything that people need. It could be paperwork and forms and applications and things that they really need to do, booking appointments, making phone calls for them, or picking up something because they didn't have time to do it, and they say, oh, can you do this for me? That's my kind of idea for this business.
Yeah. So it's a kind of a virtual assistant, PA type, that kind of 100%. Market. And the general sort of thing is general admin
Yes.
is a general kind of role. So what's your kind of day-to-day look like? What would you do?
Every day is different.
Yeah.
So one day I could be just in the office doing admin work for somebody. Some days I have to go to clients where they just book me for a day or they book me for 3 hours and I would be just doing whatever they need. I got one customer that pays me to pick up her bread in Brighton, and that's one of my kind of fun jobs. I drive around the seafront, and I think, am I actually working?
Yeah.
This is cool. I'm getting paid to do this, and then it could be just doing an event or just something completely different. My days are all different.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you get kind of new business or repeat? Is it like people pay like you monthly, or are you on like a package, or do they just kind of ring you up and say, can you go into Brighton or whatever? Brighton's our local town, by the way, everyone
Yes.
who's watching from further away. Yeah, that sort of thing. I mean, how does your kind of income stream come to you, or your customers, I suppose?
Right. So I'm a new business. So I started in February. So I've been building up, my clients. And I got clients that we have set days for things. For example, the bread thing is every Monday. So I know every Monday I go to Brighton. Well, we are in Brighton, but I live in New Haven.
Yeah.
So that's one day, a week. That's every Monday. And I do other things that I do for different clients on a set day. I got a client in Uckfield that will call me once a month, and I know when I go there, I have to do his admin and different things. And I got people that call me, can you do this for me? I'm like, on Tuesday or Wednesday, so I fill up my, diary like this.
Yeah. And do you have like a contract with these people that they're definitely going to call you, or you just kind of wait there for the bat signal and they call you or something like that, or how does that work?
To be honest with you, I don't have any contracts with anyone. It's all like, right, this is what we need, this is what we're doing, and I just do it like that,
Yeah.
So right now, I don't have a contract with anyone, but my hours are always like busy, it's like I'm always doing something,
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And does a week fluctuate? Like some weeks you'll be like super busy and another week maybe not so busy, that sort of thing? Is it like a bit...
It's very similar. Every week is very similar.
Okay.
Although some weeks I do get more stuff. I'm doing lots of networking at the moment because I want people to know what I do, and what my business is about. So I'm getting sometimes like new calls and new customers that will just call me like for the day or something. So some weeks are a bit tied up, but others are just like my normal clients that I have.
Is it more like the physical, like the driving around and collecting things for people, or are you doing like spreadsheets and that sort of analysis and things like that, admin, for businesses or whatever? Yeah. My
background is in banking, so because I was in banking, I help people with accounts and different things, like that.
Yeah. So. I'm glad you mentioned your background, because I was going to ask what was the journey before February? Like, what did you do before that?
Right. I was working for Metro Bank in Brighton. Really excited, customer service representative. I was always dealing with customers and different things. And I realized that I wanted to do something for myself. And I wanted to help my son as well, because he's a teenager now. what
Yeah.
they like. And I thought, I want to be more around for him. So I
Yeah.
thought I need to create something that,
Yeah.
will help
Okay.
me with this.
And I know on your sheet that you filled in, there is a bit about multilingual, obviously your first language, I guess.
Yes.
So presume some of your clients, it's Spanish, isn't it?
I actually
Yeah.
have quite a few Spanish customers in
Okay,
Brighton.
yeah.
So some of them don't understand the language, like English. They don't
Yeah.
understand the language because they haven't been long in the country or because they haven't really learned. So when they have applications, when they need to do phone calls, the bills, anything that they need to do, they will
Yeah.
call me to deal with that.
Okay.
So that's a big background that I have with these clients.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I have one question. You've got your website, shirleybrooks.co.uk, but your business is called Save Bills. What's...
Right. Okay. My business is more about me actually because I'm the business.
Yeah,
know.
okay.
At the moment, it's just one me, and it's about what Shirley Brooks does. Yes, I do save bills for people. So how do I save bills? If somebody call me and say my washing machine broke, I don't have time to deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't just go shopping and buy any washing machine.
Yeah.
I look for the best deal, the best price I can get them, and that's how I started saving money for people.
Yeah. So where's Save Bills come from then? Is that just, are you
Because
like a
I save money.
Yeah,
for people.
as in, do you trade as Save Bills, or do you trade like when you say you're on the internet or whatever, your website or something? Obviously, it's Shirley Brooks, isn't it? Is it Shirley Brooks Limited, or is it Save Bills Limited, or you just kind of flip between the like?
Okay, I'm not a limited. I'm self-employed, but
Yeah.
I do like to have a name for the business. That's why I
Yeah.
call it Save Bills. And lots of people I was helping, they always said, "Oh my God, you save me so much money on my bills, on everything
Yeah.
you do." And I thought it could be a good name,
Okay.
And SP, Save Bills, and I
Yeah.
thought it matched, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I feel like the business is more me
Yeah.
than just saving bills. That's why my website is Shirley Brooks, because it's
Yeah.
more about my personal brand, I would say.
Okay. Fine. And what I suppose what were the kind of, I mean, you touched upon like wanting to leave Metro Bank to help your son and the rest of it. Were there any other kind of driving factors?
Yes, I love helping people.
Yeah.
I really love helping people. I realized that it's not easy to manage everything. And I always thought, what if somebody offers a service that you just call them and just pay them? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you have the money, but you don't have the time. And I used to do that a lot in the bank. Lots of business customers used to come and say, "Oh my God, I don't have time for this. I wish somebody can do it." And the idea was just like in my head, like,
Yeah.
this sounds like something interesting, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm helping my son, but I'm also helping people.
Yeah.
Okay.
So obviously you started February. How do you feel the business is going so far?
It's so good.
So good.
I'm so happy how it's going.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared. I didn't have that problem. I was like,
Yeah.
when you go on a plane from Havana to England and you don't know what to expect and you manage to be here for 19 years, you think, I can do anything.
Yeah.
This is easy. I can handle this. But no, it's been going really well.
Yeah.
I'm busy and, the business is paying my bills and I still have my money, so it's good. I feel like it's working really well.
And Havana, that's interesting. That was early life, was it?
Early life, yeah.
How did you find that?
I come from Cuba.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never been to Cuba, but
you need
it's
to
a very
go.
interesting place. I've been very close.
Oh, really?
I've been to Florida Keys. That's like 90 miles off of the coast of Cuba, isn't it? So
and it's
I
full
could
of
wave.
Cubans as well. It's full of Cubans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
come from Havana. I came
Okay.
here 19 years ago in 2006.
Yeah.
So it
What was the move?
Why did I move to England? I got married.
Okay.
I got
fine.
married and I came to England with my husband, yeah.
Okay, nice. I've had a quick scan of your sheet. So what we're going to do is go over your kind of sort of 1 to 10 year kind of plan. So you've written down here, I know obviously you write it a long time ago, but for the audience sake, from a year from now, demand to be able to expand and employ other personal assistants, be the business that people think of when they're stressed or stuck, be Business Person of the Year in 2026. And I start my own business in February when I left your job, which we touched on before. So I suppose to touch on the first bit, so you're going to try and expand to a point where you've got those members of staff or other VAs assisting you. I don't know, kind of what's your sort of how are you going to do that, or what's your plan to that? Because I've got quite a lot of experience in trying to grow this business, so I'm interested to see what your plans are.
Oh, I'm interested to see what you can say to me. Right. So some people say to me, so what happened if you're doing all this networking, what happened if you get more clients? And I always go like, I employ more people. I'm not going to just be on my own, it can get bigger. So my plan is obviously to get more customers that require my service more often. So it's almost like a contract, like you mentioned earlier, and stuff that they need. So I can employ other people and just help more people. That's the aim for this.
So we own, as part of the group, we owned or share ownership of a virtual admin company. We did bookkeeping and admin. Those were the primary roles that we did virtually. We tried to kind of grow that business, I suppose, outside of its kind of immediate thing. A bit like yours, it was named after the founder and the owner, and it became, as we grew it, it did become all about her.
Okay.
So we rebranded to move away from this constant connection that it was like she was the only person that people could deal with. So we had these members of staff, but because the business was named after her and it's a very personal service, it's like a PA type thing, people would still come to her. She would then sort of sub it out to people. So we tried to I suppose, front it like it was her doing all the work and people were in the background. But of course, when they didn't do a very good job, it made it look like she didn't do a good job. So we then had a struggle with trying to deal with that. What we did at the start was we actually got other VAs who were a bit short of work to come and actually be self-employed for us, because it's quite difficult, or we found it quite difficult at the start, and we were really quite proactive in trying to get people to sign contracts, because the second that you employ people or you take people on, you've got a responsibility, you've got 100%. To pay their wages and so on. And the person that gets every Monday to go and collect their bread or whatever it is, one week they turn around and they go, do you know what, we're just going to have to cut things back and we'll just go to the local shop. And then all of a sudden you've lost your revenue stream. So we used to say there was a minimum amount of hours that you could have every month, which was 10 hours a month.
Oh, okay.
So we were charging, I think at the time we were charging £25 or £30 an hour. So the minimum was 10 hours, so it's £300 a month, and you could use that 10 hours however you liked throughout the month. When you run out of 10 hours, it was then £35 or £30. It was like about £5 an hour more, or you could buy more of a bulk of hours. So you could buy 20 hours a month if you wanted to have that slightly lower rate. But what that gave us as a business was a contract where we knew that they had to give us 90 days notice in order to stop the service. We also would insist upon payment in advance. So we'd send them the invoice on the first of the month, and if they didn't pay by the 10th, we stopped doing any work. So we weren't doing a load of work and then never getting paid, because we did have some customers that would just not pay us, or they would have like 60-day payment terms or something like that. So we'd be waiting for the money for a long time, because we started dealing a bit with businesses as well as domestic customers. And that was a really good flux of income to us and helped us grow the business. But we did struggle a bit without all those contracts and stuff, and we would have like the wages to go out and the liability, but then we had no kind of guarantee that the money was coming in because there's no contractual obligation. We did at the start, very similar to yourself, just have like a casual arrangement, and then people would ring up and just say, do you know what, something's happened, I can't afford you at the moment, or we're going to just cut the service back. And then that would present us a problem, because we'd be like, well, we were reliant upon that money to go and pay Susan or whoever it was we'd employed. One of the good things that we did was the bookkeeping, because it's constant, it's every single month. Businesses are live and they're transactional, so they keep continuously buying stuff, having money coming in, having money going out. If they don't, they're not really a viable business. But a lot of owners get stuck in this kind of, they've just created themselves a job and they want to not do that reconciliation, but perhaps they can't afford somebody. So they would come up with a bank of 10 hours or 20 hours a month and we would reconcile their books. And that was really good regular income. And once they started with us, we found that they were kind of hooked on us. So they like almost couldn't do without us, because what has happened is they replaced the time they were saving with doing something else, and they can't see themselves going back. The only time we lost those clients is when those businesses grow to a point where they were like, do you know what, I think we just employ somebody to do this. It's cheaper because we've gone 10 hours, 20 hours, 30, 40. And we found the shut-off was around about 40, 50 hours a month in terms of what people were then looking at and going, do you know what, we're paying you nearly £1,000 a month. I think we could probably just employ somebody to do this role in-house. So it was a constant matrix that we studied, and we were like, these clients are at risk because they're getting too big. These ones don't pay it. They're always consistently a few days late. I don't know if it's a cash flow problem or whatever. So we're always monitoring that, because it was really important that we made sure these subcontractors and staff were paid on time, essentially. So yeah, I would, if your plan is to kind of grow and take some people on, whether they're self-employed and you subbing out some of the work to them or whatever, because there's lots of people doing this. It's a very crowded space at the bottom, if you like, when it's just like one person doing it. Like, I mean, you probably know, you go to networking events and there are other people doing it. But they don't expand upon just them often, and that means that they're very stuck in the business. Like, they can't go on holiday without, like, you know, the hit in the income. So they have to grow the business, but it's inherently difficult because you have to grow up as a business and start putting contracts in place. And you might feel a little bit like you're kind of losing your identity, because you're Shirley and you just do whatever anyone, and there's no contracts, and that's your part of your USP, but it is not a particularly stable way to run the business. That's what we found. So we started to put the contracts in place, make sure that the staff were paid and we had guaranteed. And also, if people did leave, we had a bit of notice. It wasn't they were ringing you on a Monday saying, don't bother next week, we're cutting your services. Right. They're giving you 90 days notice. So you then had a bit of time to think, should we try and get another client to replace them, or do we need to start having a conversation with that member of staff and say, I'm sorry, but, you know, we've lost a big contract and, you know, your hours are going to be cut down or whatever. So
it's very interesting that you're saying this, because I always say when I go to networking, the beauty about my business is no contract. You can call me when you need me and I will be there, you know. So I always say, you don't have to hire me, you don't have to pick me. But obviously I want to expand. I'm a new business. Yeah. And in the future, you're asking me about the future, I would love to expand. But right now I always go like, you don't have to hire me, you know. You can just book me when you need me. But I guess it's a risk. So far it's been going well, you know.
To be fair, we did do pay as you go, which was just ring up and book it or whatever. We did all of that. But what we tried to encourage those customers that were maybe doing the bookkeeping or had a regular service, we tried to tie them in, because every single month you're starting from zero, and then you don't know if those people are going to continue to ask you to do that service. So if you've got a contract in place, you know you've got a minimum guaranteed amount of money coming in every month, and that's your bottom line. And then you can then work backwards from that, because if you don't get any of the ad hoc business where they're just ringing up and saying, can you do this for me this afternoon, then you'll find that every single month it will be like big peaks and troughs, and it doesn't give much security for the business, because obviously you've got to pay those ongoing costs of the staff. So I think you can still offer that service of just being like, at the end of the phone, you probably have to charge a premium for that over if they're in a contract. So it incentivizes people. So I don't know how much you charge an hour. What's your...
So when it comes to chamber prices and all of that, I always charge £25 an hour.
Yeah. What about your kind of normal... So if someone just... like, I don't know, a customer rings up and says, hi, someone recommended you or something. They're not a chamber or a mate or anything like that. Right, what's that rate? Is that £30 or?
£30. And I have different prices as well. So if somebody wants to do like application form, you know, we agree on a price. Yeah. Because obviously, you know, it could take longer or shorter. Yeah. And I want to make it affordable for people as well. Yeah. And because I've been doing, you know, paperwork for so long, I'd probably be a bit fast, I can do it quick, or I understand, the questions a bit better sometimes. So I try to set a price and agree on a price before we start doing it.
Yeah.
So I do have different ways of doing it. But normally I charge £30,
Yeah. So £30 an hour is your kind of telephone call, can you do an ad hoc task, like a one-off thing for me, like fill in some forms or something like that, or whatever it might be, or do some spreadsheets or basic admin. On that pricing structure, it seems it's quite cheap, if I'm honest. Like when you look around, so
100%.
You always keep an eye on what your competitors are doing as well. But if you then said to people, you can buy 10 hours, a bulk of 10 hours for £250, which is £25 an hour, and you can use that whatever you like. I think you'll find businesses quite like that, because it means
they like it.
Yeah, because it means they know it's not going to cost more than £250, and they can just chuck loads of stuff at you, and they feel like they'll probably end up chucking more than the 10 hours at you in their minds. But because you're really efficient at it, you'll find that some months they don't even use the 10 hours, but it doesn't roll over. So if you don't, it's use it or lose it, basically. So. And then if they use too much, that's when you go back and say, look, you've run out of your 10 hours. In order to finish this task, I need another 3 hours at £30 an hour. They'll probably just pay that because they're businesses and they need to get on with things. Businesses can be a bit brutal, though. If they just decide they're going to employ somebody, then they'll make that decision, and that's that.
That sounds like a good idea. I never thought of that. Because of the way I'm selling myself,
Yeah, it's just from experience that
good.
When we did that, we found that it stabilised the business a bit, which allowed us to grow. So I've actually sold my share in that business, but we grew it. At the peak, we had about 5 people employed.
Okay.
And it was good because we had that stable income, because you've got to feed 5 people at that moment in time. So to have that guaranteed bit every single month coming in, you had those contracts and the rest of it. Yeah, some people didn't pay when they wanted to leave and you had to chase them and all the normal problems. But for the most part, you sent the bills out on the 1st of the month. By the 10th of the month, you had a load of money come in because you knew that it was there. Because the problem when you grow is your enthusiasm and your passion and your drive is quite hard to relay that down through the staff, because they're like, well, we get paid anyway at the end of the month. It's not my problem whether you lose a client or not, or if I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Or if you use another VA to come in and be self-employed and assist you, again, they've got no ties to you, so they could pinch your customer if they're not very nice, or they could turn around and say, do you know what, I've got a new customer and he's come on and I'm going to be really busy, I can't help you anymore, and then you suddenly lost your person because you don't employ them. So we always went down the, can we make sure the business has recurring income every single month so that we can afford to employ people, so that we don't have this kind of unstable relationship with self-employed VAs coming in and helping us. I mean, it was good, but occasionally they'd leave because they found a big client themselves and they couldn't help us anymore. So that was a bit unstable. But in order to employ people, we needed stability. So we then went down the contract route. But it's an offer, isn't it? You can just pay as you go, ring me up and I'll drop everything and come and help you. But it's this price. Or if you want to fix yourself in, it's this price, which is slightly discounted. And the thing is with the 10 hours, the key to it, I'm not letting any big secrets out here, but with the 10 hours, so you go to the business owner and you say, they say, what we want you to do is we want you to take this spreadsheet, put it into here, produce this report and send it to the management team every single month. And you go, right, I've calculated out that's going to take you 10 hours, yeah? So they pay you 10 hours at £25 an hour and they pay you every month and they're happy with that. Thing is you get quicker at doing that report as time goes by. So it doesn't take you 10 hours anymore. It probably takes you 8 hours. So actually you're making more money than your £25 because they're paying you that price. As long as they don't come to you and go, oh, now you're quicker, can you do these extra bits? That's when you have to say, well, it's on top of the 10 hours. So the the cream, if you like, in the profit. It was when you got quicker at doing stuff. And we started to involve AI in that business to assist us a little bit.
Big thing now.
Yes, it is a big thing. So, and it does have the ability to do a lot of these tasks for business owners. So it's like has the potential to replace some of the need for a VA because you can get AI to do it. So what we did is rather than like fight against it, we tried to embrace it and add it into our systems so that we were doing stuff much quicker because we were using ChatGPT and various other AI tools to assist us. And we got really good at using it, which is not what business owners are traditionally good at. So they know about it and they know what it can do, but they don't know how to get it to do what they want it to do. So,
or they don't have time.
Yeah, exactly. So the time element is the thing. So you can learn how to utilize the AI to your advantage by learning what it can do and how it can apply. So yeah, so that was our kind of strategy in the first couple of years, really, to try and stabilize the business.
I definitely can do that. It's something I can offer to people. It will benefit me at the end of the day, because I can have a security,
And for very little, well, for free, you can get ChatGPT to draw you up a contract as well.
Oh, I'm paying at the moment. I'm thinking about it because I'm paying right now $19.99, but I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's not doing any more than the free one, so I save some bills, I think.
Yes.
By cancelling it.
Well, the free one's very good. It does have its limitations, but it is quite good. But I would say that is probably a useful tool for you to knock up a contract, tweak it and the rest of it, and just make sure that it's fair on both parties. You need to stabilise your business, but you need to not make it too onerous for the customer. So that's you'll know what that balance looks like. So, 100%. And you'll tweak it as well. Somebody will screw you over somewhere along the line because that's a life, I'm afraid, and you'll learn, and then you'll have to adjust your contract so that you don't get screwed over again. Right. So that's part of business journey, unfortunately. 100%. But as long as you kind of got an editable version of it, then you can do that.
Just take the next thing,
So hopefully that's really useful.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate the advice.
So in terms of more longer term growth, obviously you're looking to grow your base across Sussex with a strong reputation in the Latin American and bilingual communities, become the go-to personal assistant for service or time-poor professionals, families, elderlies, that sort of thing. Bring on trusted team members, freelancers and so on, be recognised across Sussex online as Shirley Brooks from Save Bills, as a trusted person, partner with community centres, local councils or organisations, achieve a steady, predictable monthly income. So I think a lot of that kind of 3 to 5 year plan is probably what we've discussed already, really. So it's more continued growth of that. I do think that you could probably niche yourself out in the market in assisting from a VA point of view and language as well, because I don't come across many. There's lots of interpreters out there, but there aren't the interpreters that can then go and do the work, if that makes sense. Like, I think that if you were able to niche out that market, I think, because there's a difference between someone just translating and someone saying, I've got these forms from the local council or a child benefit allowance or something like that, and I don't understand how to fill them in, but they can't even speak enough English to get by on a telephone call, then that's like almost personal assistant meets translator. So I think that would be a really good thing to pull up on your website or whatever, and really try and push things on that, because there are a lot of people that are not native UK and they might have a holiday home here as well or work in London or something like that. And a lot of this, the beauty of this business is not location based necessarily. Obviously from going and getting bread it's location based, because you're not going to go to Wales.
I always mention the bread because I love it. I just love driving and just thinking I'm getting paid to pick up bread. I never thought I could do this. My son keeps saying to me, Mom, don't mention that. Why do you always mention that? I said, it's my fun part of the job,
Well,
I'm
you have to pick on
singing in the car and I'm getting bread and they know me when I get there. Hi, Shirley Brooks. And I go like, oh, okay. And I get out with the bag thinking, this is good. I'm getting paid for doing this.
Yeah.
From banking to picking up bread. Yes, I love it. I'm getting paid and I'm enjoying it, Why not?
And it's that passion that will drive you forward. I mean, I know when I used to play, like in the charity golf days, I used to feel like, oh, I'm being paid to play golf. It was quite cool in that sense. So it's those little things, and it doesn't matter if it matters to you and somebody else, like your son says, oh, we'll stop mentioning it or whatever.
Oh, stop mentioning it, Mum. Well, no, I love it. Why
but
would
if
I
it
stop
drives
mentioning
you,
it?
then that's fine.
Yes, the thing that I love is that every day is different. So, I get, you said, they can cancel it one day and say, I don't need the bread anymore. That's fine.
Yeah.
But every Monday I go like, oh, I'm going to pick up my bread, Well, it's not mine, but, it's good. It's a good thing.
I think that's really good. It's just that it's not very indicative of growing the business. That's the problem.
No, of course.
So,
this is only one task.
Yeah,
It's only one task in a week. I do other things as well.
Okay. So I think if you could do that, I do think on your website and stuff, if you could pull upon that and maybe push that a little bit more on the social media side of things and so on. It's a very crowded market, the VA thing. So if you could say, maybe you could do some silly little videos or something with someone that can't speak, and and they could be like, oh, I'm really stressed out, I can't fill these forms in. Well, actually, I can speak to you in Spanish and fill it back out in English, because I do admin.
I love social media.
Yeah.
I'm always on social media. So, I could do a video like that,
Yeah, and get that on your website and stuff like that. And I think that would probably separate you a little bit and allow you to work to some of these more longer term goals, because it's not easy, if I'm honest. I've mentioned a few times it's quite a crowded market, because there's a lot of people that perhaps went out on their own during the pandemic and did this. In fact, even the business that I bought into was born of that need. To drive it forward and to go down that kind of niche market, I think would be a good idea for you. Definitely, as it's not location based, assisting people, so you could drive that wherever you needed to in the UK. And then in terms of working with other businesses and stuff, I do think that is something that you need to do. Like, you need a mixture. Businesses are fairly understanding and utilisation of VAs and outside sources and consultants and the rest of it, and happy to enter into contracts, because they'll be issuing their own contracts, so they'll understand that model. The problem with businesses is they go up and down in there, like, right, we need to make cutbacks today because we've lost a client, so they can be a bit more brutal in that sense, whereas your bread delivery person will be like, oh, we love Shirley, we do like her, but we'll find the money from somewhere, so there can be, yeah. But I think it's kind of very similar to the advice and stuff we discussed about in the 1 year plan in terms of growing that. And I think a lot of people overestimate what they can achieve in a short period, so like 1 to 3 years, but they underestimate what they can achieve over a longer period of time. It does take a long time to build a business. I mean, we were involved with that probably for about 3 years or so. Okay. And we were just getting to the point where it was kind of beginning to distinguish itself from like every other VA that was out there. It was becoming like a multi-discipline, like we were doing the bookkeeping, we were doing some call handling, we were doing the admin, we had some offices where the staff would come and the rest of it. So it'd gone from like a Shirley Brooks style business to an actual enterprise that was employing people. So good. Yeah, I only exited it because I was made an offer that like
you couldn't resist.
Yeah, basically, and you're a
businessman.
And we go on to other things really. So, but it was very useful to us as a business as well for me to own those shares, because I did use them in this business quite a lot. So there was like a crossover. So there's an integration of the two companies. So when we were struggling for staffing or capacity, we could dip into that. So it was quite good for us for that.
This sounds very interesting.
Yes.
Things I didn't know.
So hopefully that's useful to give you kind of some inspiration, I suppose. I don't know if you have any questions based on that before we kind of move more on to the 10-year goals or whatever.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
No, I think it's actually quite good. I can definitely offer that service. If you think, that will help some business people, I can put that in. I'm very open-minded. I'm happy to get some advice. And just.
I think you need to get yourself in front of businesses and by doing the contract and professionalising it did much better our business when we did that. When we started saying, here's a bank of 10 hours as a contract, it's 3 months notice, 90 days, whatever, and here it is, Mr. Businessman or whatever, and this is what we can offer you and help you with and so on, then...
I thought that will scare people. That's why I didn't offer it at the beginning. I was like, if people know that they have that responsibility every month, would they be okay with that, Because everyone that I just worked so far with always say to me, the good thing about you is that we don't have to employ you.
I think the good thing is don't have to employ, but that doesn't mean that you don't need a contract in place. There's a difference. Like employment is a big commitment for a business or for an individual, whereas having a contract that's just 90 days is no different to a mobile phone contract. You're going to sign up for 2 years.
Sounds really good,
but you know that you've got that fixed price in there. So it does lend itself to business owners, but the point of all of this is to give you consistent cash flow so that you can then know that you can pay those staff at the end of the month, because there's nothing worse than going, do you know what, we lost the bread run, we lost something or other's happened, and now how am I going to pay Dave and Susan, because 100%. There's no contracts in place for anything, is there?
Can I tell you something? Every time you mention the bread, I think of my son. He's going to take me off. He's going to be like, I told you that.
Well, I don't think you should give your mum a hard time for that. It's good to be passionate about something.
He's going to be like, do you see how many times he mentioned bread? It's your fault.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it, and I'm going to keep saying it.
But I think it's good for you to have that enjoyment and also have that passion about helping people and do things like that. It's just that if you're going to go on to do these kind of 5 to 10 year plans or whatever, I think that's where you have to make some tweaks to this model.
100%,
because
yes.
eventually, if you imagine you're employing 10 people and you're sat and you have this Shirley Brooks empire, you're not going to have time to do the bread run anymore. I suppose to some degree you have to figure out if you're happy being small and doing the bread run.
No. Or go big or go home, and I'm not going home.
Exactly. So now your son will be proud of you, because then you're moving away from the bread run.
He doesn't mind. I keep saying it, and he doesn't like it, but he goes, "Mom, you're not a delivery person," and I'm okay.
Okay. So 10-year stuff, we'll just cover that off quickly. Have Saved Bills as a well-known name in the UK. I do think you have to distinguish between Shirley Brooks and Saved Bills. I know they're kind of pseudo-run together, but as you grow, you need to pick one, I think, whether you're going to be Shirley Brooks VA or Saved Bills.
Most people think it's Saved Bills with Shirley Brooks.
Yeah, you could have that.
People say that all the time, and I go like, oh no, it's Saved Bills, and I'm Shirley Brooks. Yeah. But they think it's Saved Bills with Shirley Brooks. And I get emails sometimes, nice to meet you, Saved Bills with Shirley Brooks. And I go like,
I suppose you need to figure out, it confused me a little bit at the start, really? And I think that a
few people as well get confused.
Yeah, if you hear that feedback quite a lot, then I would say...
I've been listening to it. A few people say, why Saved
You could
Bills?
have Shirley Brooks, and then you could have the strap line, Save Bills with Shirley Brooks, or Save Bills, helping people save bills, save on their bills, something like that. But I think calling it Save Bills and calling it Shirley Brooks is a bit kind of slightly confusing, because your website's shirleybrooks.co.uk, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so people wouldn't be searching necessarily for Save Bills, and the Google and the search engines want to look for something. They don't want to have to look for Save Bills or Shirley Brooks. Save Bill, I'd imagine, you network, and there's a lady, Julia, Fine Marketing, I think she's been on this podcast as well, but she will probably tell you that Shirley Brooks is easier for Google to pick up on than Save Bills, because Save Bills is quite generic, and a lot of results will come from that. It'll be harder to push that, but have a chat with her.
I'm glad
know.
that you mentioned that, because my website is actually Shirley Brooks because of Julia.
Yeah.
So when I started going to the
There
chamber, she said Safe Bill. She was one of the first people that said to me,
Yeah.
Safe Bill, Shirley Brooks, she was a bit confused. And then I said, okay, I need a website. And then she was like, well, Safe Bills is actually quite,
generic, yeah.
So I think you should go for shirleybrooks.co.uk. And because of Julia, I call her my mother in business because she helped me so much. I always say, you're my mother in business.
Yeah.
She helped me so much since I started the journey, with the chamber. So, Julia.
Yeah, she's very good at that, and she's right. And I'm glad that I'm right in saying
Yes,
that
you
as
are.
well. So
because that's exactly what happened.
Impact has obviously had a good
exactly
thing on
what
me.
happened.
But yeah, I think you need to distinguish that, which is what Julia's touched on, really. And
she said maybe you can rebrand later on, think about it. We had a really good conversation about it, And I was like, well, I'm just Safe Bills. I can't change it just now.
Yeah.
But, I'm going through my first year, so it's a lot to learn.
Yeah. Okay. So I think on your 10-year plan, you've got to do, obviously, to continue to grow within the Latin American, which we've talked about as well. Launch Save Bills Academy to train others, especially women in immigration or career changes in becoming community-based personal assistants. And wish to host workshops and mentor programs and so on. So I think they're quite good things for you to kind of expand the brand. If you can get to that point. So you need to get the business nice and stable with all these contracts and the rest of it, and then start offering like workshops so that you can then maybe seek to franchise it out or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of the 10-year plan.
The franchising model is complicated, but it is quite a good way of growing it, and then you become a household brand essentially, because people are like, oh, I'm a VA under the Shirley Brooks thing. Bit like Moneypenny, a lot of those are employed, but they also do. People use Moneypenny as substitute for VA and things like that. So, and then you've got people that work abroad as well, who the wages are less, so people use all of that kind of stuff in their franchising model. So, probably when you get to that point, it's really worth taking some proper legal advice, not just ChatGPT, to get a franchising agreement drawn up. They are quite complicated, and you can get people abuse the system and the rest of it. But if you can get it working well, then it can be quite a good thing for business, especially if you just want to expand into that space, really. So, but yeah, I think... so just to kind of summarise, I would be looking for businesses to get into and have nice working relationships with. Definitely you need to be looking at the contracts if you're going to stabilise the business and then employ people, because that's, number one thing. And it's a good matrix for you to track as well, because you can be like, I know we're going to get every single month £3,000 coming in. If you don't know that, then it's very difficult to pay staff. I would definitely...
the staff is just a long term.
yeah. But I definitely focus in on that kind of being able to help the Latin Americans. It's a good USP, unique selling point for you that other VAs won't be able to replicate or do. It's a moat around your castle, essentially. Like, it's going to be difficult for people to replicate that, to have the admin skill and the language. Those two skill sets combined is, potentially quite powerful. And then obviously look at the franchising model at some point in the future.
Yeah, in the future.
So, hopefully I've given you some kind of insight and impact onto that and
yes,
my
very
kind of
useful
stuff. Obviously, reach out to me if there's anything else you want. You can email Hayley or something. I've had quite a bit of experience with this kind of style of business and trying to grow it. More than happy to help
Thank you.
You've got Julia's details anyway. Big shout out to Julia, Fine Marketing. And I think try and get those kind of little social media clips and things like that, and that brand going for yourself, probably that.
Yes, definitely. I had a video that came out yesterday by Coastal House Creative, and it's amazing. I will show you at the end of this podcast. I want you to see the new video for Safe Bills, Shirley Brooks.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually quite fun. I presented it at a Peace Saving Chamber of Commerce presentation that I did yesterday. and I love it. I
Yeah,
enjoy every minute of
okay.
it. So.
Well, I'm sure we can put some clips of it or put it in if you give it to Luke. He can
100%.
edit that in. But yeah, I don't know if there was any other questions you had for me or if we've kind of covered off everything that you wanted to talk about.
Yes, so I do have a question for you.
Go for
it. Well, it's a simple question, but next year it will be my 20th anniversary in England.
Yeah.
And for so many years, I felt a bit lost in trying to find myself in what I really wanted to do, because I'm a people's person. I wanted to help people. And I found it a bit difficult until I decided to be self-employed. And finally, I found myself. I want to be Best Business of the Year 2026.
Yeah.
It's my aim, and it's what I want to do, and I will work really hard to get it. What is one piece of advice that you will give me to achieve this?
Yeah. So
it's September now.
We're talking about the local chamber awards.
Let's do a small step.
Yeah. Not the national best.
No. Just the smallest.
I mean, that would be impressive. I mean, in honesty, the main thing to do with the forms, whether you're national or local, is really read what they're after. So the local ones that I've had some experience with, they really like testimonials from clients, because that's a genuine way of them seeing, because you can talk a hind leg off a donkey to talk about your own business and tell them how great you are and what you've done. But they really do like feedback from other external sources. So if you can start now to get customer feedback, little testimonials and the rest of it that you can insert in there, make sure you fill out all the sections. So when it says like, what did you do, all that kind of stuff. And maybe have a look at the categories as well. So you might say best business, you might go up against some stiff competition, but you might also say
best new business
it might be best new business.
Because I'm a new business, so
exactly, yeah.
Or best person of the, I don't know. I'm a small business.
Or like you might even fit into like the creation bit with the language stuff. I don't know. Like have a look at them and don't necessarily go fixate on one. You might go, I'm a better fit of this one, because sometimes the headline ones, like the best business of the year, they might be fairly well established businesses that are going up against that. So you might be better off going for the best new business. So Sharon, obviously she won best new business of the year.
Sharon, I love Sharon.
And that's through testimonials, filling the forms in, and hard work and the rest of it. But I don't think she would have had much success if she'd gone in for like best business or business of the year, but just because it was so new, the business.
No.
So it doesn't.
In the new category,
So I mean that was really great for her, and like a massive boost for the business as well, and so on. But I definitely look at making sure that you get those testimonials in and.
For the application.
For the application. One of the big bits is testimonials, because they do review that quite a lot. Because it's a way of policing what you're saying. I could say our service is the best service in the world, but then if the customers say, we've struggled to use it, we don't really gel with it or whatever, or like, I don't know, in your instance, like she never does what she says, then it's not backed up by anything, is it?
100%, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's a good advice to take away with me today.
Yeah, yes. All right.
Thank you
so
much.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. I know you kind of rushed over here in the windy UK at the moment.
Honestly, it was a nightmare getting here, but I was so excited. It was almost like picking up the bread,
Singing
Sorry,
along
Henry.
on the way. Singing
I was
along
just
the
singing
way.
along,
one more bread reference just for your son before you go.
Well, I hope I don't get told off.
Your mum's bringing home the bread.
Sorry, Henry.
Anyway, with that, I will leave you to it. Be good to see you maybe in about a year or something, see how you're getting on, see if you've progressed towards some of these things. So have you back on.
Put me on the list.
Yeah.
You say yes already.
Definitely. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much for your time and for having